like to talk about creating code words. It's a really valuable thing that I've had in my life that I like to share with clients and friends and people that are having difficulty breaking some patterns in their relationship with other people. So, what are code words? Code words are words that you agree upon with someone else that represent a certain pattern that you'd like to break, but you don't necessarily want to have the conversation about it every single time that the thing comes up. So, let me tell you how I came up with code words so that you can see how they work and maybe you can find places in your life that they might be beneficial to help change some dynamics in some of your relationships. So, when my daughter was really small, probably about 4, 5, my husband would tickle her a lot. And it was so much fun to listen to her giggle and to see them bond in that way. One day, he was tickling her and she was laughing and they were having a grand old time. And I was in the other room. And then the next thing I know, it broke down into her crying. And I hear her crying in the other room. And so when I went to see what was going on, I saw a certain dynamic that I ended up talking to my husband about later on when my daughter wasn't around. And so basically the conversation went, what happened? She was having a great time and then she started crying. What changed? He's like, I don't know. I don't have a clue. One time we were just laughing and giggling and rolling around, and the next thing she breaks down into tears. And so I wanted to get to the bottom of the issue. So I asked my daughter, what happened? Why were you having such a good time, but then ended up crying? And she says, Mommy, I was having a good time, but then he kept tickling me, and I didn't like it anymore, and he wouldn't stop. I told him to stop, and I said no, but he kept doing it, and I didn't want him to do it anymore. So then I went back to my husband and said, hey, this is the deal. This is what she was experiencing, and this is why she broke down into tears. And so from my perspective, being a female, it was always important to me that we try our best to empower our daughter, especially as a female, to understand that she had power in the world and that when she said no, she could mean no, and somebody else would have to honor that boundary when she would say no. And so I told him, look, the tickling is all fun and all of that, but it's important that she understand, no matter how small she is and no matter how big you are, that she has the right to say no when she's done. So we need to figure out a way that you can understand for sure when she's done, because sometimes no, it's just hard to tell whether they're really joking or not. So we said, let's find a code word to meet. When she says it, you know immediately. That means stop, no more. That's it. So that we can show her that she has the right to speak her boundaries and have her needs met as a female in this world. So my husband, being the silly person that he is, always the jokester, he came up with the code word Uncle Belly Button. So we pulled my daughter in and said, hey, look, in the future, when you're engaging with your dad, when you guys are playing and you're having fun or whatever the circumstance is, when you say Uncle Belly Button, that means stop and stop now. I'm done. I don't want any more. And so that was the beginning of code words. And she used it. And when she did, he would immediately stop, and it gave her power in the situation. The beautiful thing about code words is once they're established and everybody understands what the foundation is of the meaning of the word, and especially why we want to interrupt routines and habits by using them, is so that when something's happening again, we don't have to stop and have that entire conversation ahead of time. It just means, there's that thing. We talked about that. That's what that means. And so all you got to do is use the code word, and it's a signal to everybody. We all know what this means, and it's time to fall in line with what the agreement is. So I hope that there's something about this that is helpful to you, and that maybe you find a way to bring code words into breaking some patterns in your life with people that you're close to, that you really would like the path to be a little bit smoother and the communication to be a little bit clearer. This has been a Sage Inspiration from Alicia at askalicia.com. If you'll take a moment and like the video below, hit subscribe and hit the bell so you can get my videos as soon as they come out. And join me on my Facebook page at Ask Alicia on Facebook.